Hello, and welcome to a short video demonstrating how to generate production outputs within the framing software. In the software, it is easy to insert frame, thermal bridging, barcode, stud list, and component list tables. We can also generate schedules and export them to different file formats, such as Microsoft Word and Excel. For this demonstration, I'm going to work on this small drawing, producing output tables and schedules, editing them after producing them, and then finally exporting them to different file formats. In order to insert production output tables, you will need to go to the Framing pull-down menu and then Manufacturing Output, and then select one of the options. To start with, I'm going to insert a frame table. From the palette on the left-hand side, I can configure the table I am going to insert. For example, I can sort and group by and select the level and then enter the job reference as well. I can also choose to create a spreadsheet file and then select where I would like to save it. This can then be opened up in a spreadsheet application such as Microsoft Excel. I can further configure the frame table by choosing what I'd like to include in it as well. For example, I can choose to insert the length, the height, the thickness, as well as the weight, plasterboard, openings, and breather paper information as well. Once we have configured our options, we can click OK and then place our table within the drawing. Now that we've inserted our table, let's take a closer look at it. We can see that the table has been sorted by the reference column and grouped by the frame type. If we look at the table from the left-hand side, the columns start with the reference, the frame type, dimensions, stud centers, and so on. We also have the total length, area, and weight, which are mentioned towards the end of the external panels. Once we've generated our table, we can go back and add or remove any options which we may have selected. We can do this simply by highlighting the table and then going into the properties. From the properties pane, we can add or remove any component we would like, such as total values or stud centers. The other tables can be inserted and edited in a similar way. For example, we can insert a thermal bridging table and configure it before we insert it. We can then go on and edit it as well by highlighting it and then going into the properties. We can then go on to do the same thing for the stud list table as well. In order to produce a schedule, we will need to go to the Framing pull-down menu and select Schedule. Now you should see the schedule window, which will look similar to mine. We have a few different schedules, such as frame, component, material, and so on. If we look at the frame schedule, it has been broken down for each frame. For example, frame EX1 has all of its components listed with their descriptions, dimensions, quantities, angles, and grades. This is the same for each frame. We can also add some additional information to the schedule, such as project details like job reference and plot number. We can also go into the Frame tab and choose what we want to include in the schedule to begin with. Now we have three output options that are available to us. For example, we can output to a document which then can be opened by a program such as Microsoft Word. We can also output to a spreadsheet which can then be opened in Microsoft Excel. And finally, we can output to a plain text file, which can then be opened by a program such as Notepad. We can also generate opening schedules as well. We can do this by going to the Framing pull-down menu, Openings, and then selecting Generate Opening Schedule. We should then see the palette on the left-hand side, where we can choose whether to output it to a spreadsheet, and we can choose what to include in the schedule. Once we've placed our opening schedule, we can see it in the drawing file, and we can see it in the Excel spreadsheet. We are able to select any table and right-click on them and export them out to a spreadsheet as well.